Today, we're going back to the Gilded Age. It was an era of incredible progress, but also really deep shadows. We're going to dive into the story of H.H. Holmes and his truly infamous creation, the Murder Castle.
Okay, so picture this. It's 1893, and Chicago is the center of the world. The city is hosting the World's Fair, this incredible symbol of progress, and 27 million people are pouring in. It's all about hope and the future. But hiding in plain sight, you've got this figure, Dr. H.H. Holmes, and he looks at this massive crowd and sees something totally different. For him, this isn't a celebration, it's a harvest.
So, who was this guy? Well, for starters, H.H. Holmes wasn't even his real name. He was born Herman Webster Mudgett. He basically invented the character of H.H. Holmes, this charming, brilliant doctor. It was the perfect mask to hide what was, without a doubt, one of the most monstrous ambitions in American history.
So how was he going to pull off this so-called harvest? Well, his masterpiece was the building itself. Let's be clear, this wasn't just a hotel. It was a meticulously designed instrument of death. It was right there at 63rd and Wallace in Chicago. To anyone passing by, it just looked like a brand new hotel, perfectly placed to cash in on all the tourists coming for the World's Fair. But inside, yeah, its twisting, confusing halls were designed with only one chilling purpose in mind.
And the genius of it all, if you can call it that, was how he kept it a secret. See, Holmes acted as his own architect. He'd hire one group of workers to build one small section. The second they started getting suspicious, asking, hey, why does this staircase just lead to a brick wall? He'd fire them on the spot. Then he'd just hire a new crew for a different part. By doing this over and over, he made sure that nobody but him ever knew the building's complete, nightmarish design. And the final result? The upper floors were just a maze of death traps. I'm talking about airtight rooms lined with iron, with gas pipes that he could turn on from his own bedroom. He built a soundproof bank vault where he just locked people in and leave them. And hidden all over the place were trapdoors and secret chutes, all designed to drop his victims silently, directly down into the basement.
And if you thought the upper floors were bad, the basement was something out of a nightmare. This was his personal laboratory, his processing center. It had everything he needed, a couple of furnaces big enough to fit a person, huge vats of acid, and even this medieval-looking device that was later called a stretching rack. This is where the horror story ended for his victims.
But here's the really twisted part. This whole elaborate horror show wasn't just about sadism. It was about money. H.H. Holmes literally turned murder into a career. $200 to $400. Now, that may not sound like a ton of money today, but back in the late 1800s, that was a small fortune. And for H.H. Holmes, that was the going rate for a human life. So here's how he did it. Using his medical skills and all that equipment in his basement, Holmes would dissect his victims. He'd meticulously clean the bones, reassemble them into a full skeleton, what's called an articulated skeleton, and then he'd sell them to medical schools. They were in high demand back then, and, well, the schools didn't ask too many questions. He wasn't just a murderer, he was a gruesome entrepreneur. But, like any empire built on secrets and lies, his was bound to come crashing down. And honestly, the way it all unraveled is maybe the most ironic part of this whole terrifying story. So, after all of that, the elaborate castle, the secret chutes, the dozens of victims, what do you think finally brought him down? What was the one mistake that tripped up America's first notorious serial killer? The answer is almost disappointingly simple. Insurance fraud. Not the murders, not the Castle of Horrors, a simple, run-of-the-mill con.
See, Holmes cooked up this scheme with an associate of his named Benjamin Patelzel. The plan was to fake Patelzel's death and split the life insurance money. But because he was H.H. Holmes, he couldn't resist double-crossing him. He murdered Patelzel for real, and it was the investigation into that financial crime that finally put him on the authorities' radar and led them to his castle. And once the police finally got a warrant to search that place, the true scale of his evil became sickeningly clear. They found the most horrifying evidence, a pile of human hair and charred bones in one of the furnaces. They found personal items like a piece of gold jewelry that they were able to trace back to a tourist who had gone missing during the fair. The whole story just unraveled. So he was captured, tried, and convicted. But even in his final days, facing the gallows, H.H. Holmes was still working. He was building his own dark legend. He started making these really bizarre claims to anyone who would listen. The most chilling one was that his own face was changing, that he was literally, physically transforming into the devil.
It was his last big performance, making sure he'd be remembered not just as a killer, but as a figure of pure evil.
And that leads us to his final request, which I think just perfectly sums up the guy's mind. He asked to be buried in a coffin that was filled with cement, lowered into a grave 10 feet deep, and then have that grave also filled with cement. And his reason? So the devil couldn't get his body. It just leaves you with this one question. Was he genuinely terrified of what he'd become? Or was this just the final con from the architect of the murder cap?